You're ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready too. And we're recording, so. Alright. Welcome to It Is What It Is. I'm Shaw Marie.
I'm Jean.
And today was a mystery to Jean. And we are going to talk about Little Boy Blue.
The nursery rhyme?
Nope.
Oh.
The murder.
Oh. I'm in the dark here, folks.
And we are going to hop from state to state. We're going to go on a little bit of a drive, actually. We're going to go a couple places. I'm going to say what happened to Little Boy Blue, where they found him, when they found him, and then we'll jump into what happened to sweet Little Boy Blue.
Okay.
Okay. So on Christmas Eve, he in Nebraska. So, I mean, that's kind of far away from here, right?
What year was that?
In Nebraska. Oh, that he was found?
Yeah.
86.
86. Okay, so in winter of 86 in Nebraska.
85. Sorry, 85.
That's going to be cold because that's like minus 20 area because of the open, I believe, open plains.
Yeah. And here's the sadness. So, it's Christmas Eve. And they find a 9-year-old little boy out in a canal. Just tossed. Not tossed. He wasn't tossed. I shouldn't say that. He wasn't tossed.
Okay.
The reason why they dubbed him Little Boy Blue is because he was wearing blue feety pajamas. So they said he was Little Boy Blue.
Yeah.
The whole town in Nebraska adopted him. They took him in.
Kind of like a symbol, like a, I don't know, not a symbol,
But a what?
a tragedy, I guess. I don't know. So he was 9, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. In 85.
Yeah. And they find him. They dub him Little Boy Blue until it comes to Easter Sunday of 86. They put Mathew, because Mathew, I guess, I am far from religious, but I guess Mathew means gift from God. So that was what was put on his headstone, and he's still buried there to this very day. And they have a beautiful like cross monument like dedicated to him that says Mathew on it and like Little Boy Blue. Super, super sweet. But his case went cold for 2 whole years.
Wow.
2 years. And so how they finally found out who Little Boy Blue was is some people in Amish country were reading the Reader's Digest. And they were like, oh, whoa, okay. That description of this kid kind of sounds like this little boy we might know. And one of his relatives reads it, and they're like, oh, shit, we haven't seen him in a hot minute either.
Yeah.
Maybe. So we're going to fast forward to the first part of
So in this
life.
Nebraska town, he was not identified.
He left Nebraska. We'll get why he left Nebraska. He's not from Nebraska.
Oh, but
originally
he was found in Nebraska, and no parents reported him missing or anything. How devastating is that? Oh my gosh. So
well, and the cops were it was Christmas Eve.
Oh,
and the cops were kind of baffled because they're like, we have this sweet, adorable. He had a sweet little gap in his teeth, and we'll post pictures of him and all that nonsense. But he was super, super sweet looking, like just precious beyond all belief. That's out. But yeah, so we're gonna hop back to the beginning of his life, and he was born in Ohio, in Amish country.
Okay.
With his parents in Dalton, Ohio. Sadly, his mother died.
Oh.
And so Ida was his mom's name. She died at 26 years old. In an early, they didn't think so, but later, after you guys will figure out why, her death became suspicious. But she died in a barn fire in Ohio.
Oh.
She was also 8 or 5 months pregnant. I've read both in my research on Murderpedia and an Ohio newspaper. So there's 2 different ones.
She was definitely pregnant, though.
She was definitely pregnant when she died. And at the time, her husband, Mr. Eli Stutzman Jr., who was born in 1950, okay, he looks like the saddest man in America because...
Is he Amish?
They are. They are all Amish. And they are like for real Amish.
It was Eli.
Yeah, they're for real Amish. Like, these people ain't messing around. They're never going to hear the podcast. Like, these people are for real Amish.
Yeah.
And it looks like she died a hero, really, because she runs into... Eli wakes her up in the early mornings and he's like, hey, baby, barn's on fire.
Yeah.
Got something going on.
Yeah.
And so she runs, according to him, she runs out there, pregnant as fuck. She runs out. And... she runs into the milk. She was trying to save the milk, was what she was doing, which the milk cellar was attached to the barn. Well, when he gets to her, she's overcome. She's already passed out. So he drags her. So her face is all messed up.
The smoke inhalation?
Yeah. So he says, by the time I get to her, damn it, she's dead. Can't do nothing about it. Can't bring her back. So everybody's like, well, that's kind of weird. And Eli starts acting funny. And I'm going to tell you why Eli starts acting funny. Eli was gay as shit.
Oh.
And a couple days before Ida dies, which, by the way, was Grandma's name. And I was going to name my first daughter Ida. But then I was like, nah, not with the times. Can't do it.
Yeah, but that's definitely an older name. And I don't know.
It's a beautiful name.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, but... that's why I just took her middle name instead. Love you to pieces, but couldn't do it. Anyway, so, Ida catches Eli out in the barn, rolling around in some hay.
Yeah.
With another gentleman in non-Amish ways.
Yeah.
So, she gets pissed. And she runs and she tells the bishop.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, my husband's gay as shit.
Oh.
And the bishop's
she
like,
yeah. Oh, great.
So the bishop's like,
kicked out.
mm-hmm. And he's like, Eli, you need to go.
Yeah.
You need to go find God. And you need to, figure your shit out. Come back. Whatever. So then the fire happens. Eli goes from being straight Amish to, quote unquote, he went American. Because he put electricity in their house.
Yeah.
He was drinking. They were watching TV. He was openly being gay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was porn magazines in his home. Like, he was openly...
After he moved away from the...
No, he was still in Ohio, in the family home, when he was like, you know what, WTF, I don't care, it's my house.
I thought they had really strict... guidelines and
I have no idea. It didn't last long.
Okay, sorry.
He didn't last long.
Okay.
So, in 1982, him and Danny moved to Colorado. Then to Texas. Okay, but first, in Colorado, some people die.
Oh.
They die. But we have to wait to get to them. For now, we just know there's some dead folks.
You're such a tease.
I know. And he had sold the farm. So when he moved away, he did have money. He wasn't moneyless. They weren't having problems or anything like that. Danny's grandparents actually did ask to keep, I didn't even tell you guys his name. Eli's grandparents asked to keep the kid.
Yeah.
And
so this little boy's name is Danny. The one that they dubbed Little Boy Blue. Okay.
Way to be a spoiler, Gene. Yes.
Well, gosh damn it.
Yes, he did die.
Honestly.
And I fucked it up, folks. That's just the way we start. But anywho.
Makes us unique.
Yeah.
Yep, get it out of the way.
So, now we're jumping to 1985. Eli left Danny for 6 months in Wyoming with some people while he traveled around getting dick down all over the states. Well, quote unquote, he was, they say, looking for work. Okay, just so you guys know, the 49er game is on. Husband's a big fan. If they're shouting in the background, we are safe.
Don't be alarmed.
No, big fan. Go Niners. Woohoo. Probably just lost some fans. Anywho. But yeah, so he moved to states as he went back to Ohio. He went to Colorado, New Mexico. And then he went back to Wyoming in December. On December 14th, 1985, saying he was going to take, they call him Danny, his name is Daniel, but saying him and Danny are going to go back to Apple Creek, Ohio. Eli arrives in Apple Creek, Ohio, alone. He tells his family that Danny's back in Wyoming going to school. He tells the people in Wyoming, that Danny stayed in Ohio and is going to school.
Oh.
So he just switched states and was like, he's doing this and this in these two states.
So they wouldn't worry about him and ask questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had little boy's funeral on Easter. Did I tell you that? They had it on Easter Sunday in 86. And that's the day that they dubbed him Mathew instead of Little Boy Blue, because they wanted to give him a name before burying him. So they dubbed him Mathew.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the lady that watched him and the family member are the ones who read the digest and were like, okay, has to be Daniel.
Oh my God! So that's how they found out about this little boy dying, is in Reader's Digest. But then it's 85. Facebook wasn't around yet.
Well, they're Amish anyway.
Yeah.
So back in the day, just so all you young people, Reader's Digest is like a TV magazine kind of that would give you like rundowns of shows, stories. It was your TV radio back in the good old fashioned days when you didn't even have the radio. It
was the podcast back in the day.
Yeah, there you go. It's early podcasting. And it stayed cold until 1987.
Jesus.
So, yeah, so they read it, they called in, they were like, whoa, bro, we know this fool.
Yeah, this sounds super familiar because, yeah, that would be awful. I don't know about all that.
So, they find out his dad's Eli, and they find out Eli's shady past. And they're like, well, dude, you're pretty shifty. So why don't you tell us what happened?
Yeah.
And at first, they're like, he's like, oh, he died on the travels, so I just left him where God could find him.
Whoa. Don't you notify the local authorities with any kind of death?
Well, he didn't want his family to be upset that he didn't do it the Amish way, I guess.
It's still against the law.
Well, yeah. Okay. So his way of doing it was putting him on the side of the road.
So God could find him.
I'm
pretty sure God knows where everybody's at. In my opinion.
Right. It's just so sad. But yeah,
every time.
I don't know why, dude. I don't know why parents could do it. Like, I don't know why. And Buzzkill, he doesn't get charged with murder. For Little Boy Blue, he doesn't get charged with murder.
Dad doesn't?
No. No, because when they find him, it really does look like he succumbed to the elements. Like, he's perfect. There's nothing wrong with him. There's a mark on his neck, but that's it. And it's not like a mark that they look at it and they're like, oh no, someone killed this kid. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that. They were just like, oh wow, like this little boy must have wandered out of bed and fell asleep out here, succumbed to the elements or whatever. He was so peacefully laying there. Like, Eli didn't just like toss him out.
He was set there on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of weird.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, on Christmas Eve. And then he just goes to the family.
He goes and has Sunday dinner.
And moves on with life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he doesn't...
you look at that devastation. I've never lost my... never had that heartache as a mother, because I can't even imagine, let alone... I mean, you cry, you mourn, you grieve.
Yeah. No. He didn't.
Nobody else thought that was kind of weird?
Nobody knew until Little Boy Blue was found.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Like, no one had a clue.
Huh. Sorry, I try and rationalize everything and try and understand why people do things. I think that's why I kind of break everything down.
They guess,
but
they're guessing it was because he was gay, and like Danny wasn't like a dick magnet. You know what I mean? He wasn't helping what he wanted to do.
So he was in the way of this guy's love life.
Yeah.
Cool.
He was in the way of like everything and him being free and not having to tote around this 9-year-old child with him.
So leave him in Wyoming with the family then.
Yeah. And his poor cousin, you guys can watch the TV show that I found this on. It's Murder in Amish Country. Mm-hmm. Season 1, episode 2. By the way, big fan of the ID channel. You guys will hear me reference that channel like a million quadrillion times, so just fucking get used to it. But yeah, so they find him, and so they ask him, and they question him, and all that nonsense, and so they arrest him. Well, Eli had a little bit more going on than just maybe killing Ida, which... I'm sorry, but the husband always did it. That's just the way it is.
Well, hang on, Miss.
Dude, husband's always guilty. Always guilty. Sorry, Eric. I love you, but you're guilty.
What about the secret lovers?
Them bitches are guilty too.
Well,
it's probably a coerced job if it's the two of them bitches. You know? But anywho, so in Texas, this guy dies. He gets shot, and he gets dumped on the side of the road in a canal in Texas. Doesn't that sound familiar? Mm. Yeah. And this guy happened to be his roommate. They did drugs together because Eli was a big fan of the cocaine. Mm-hmm. Big fan. Big fan.
Rich man's drug.
Yeah, right? So he kills his roommate, and the guy worked for him, too. So they weren't strangers. Right after the cops, and Danny was there. Danny was still alive at this point in time. This is when they fled. So now they're in Texas. They go from Ohio to Texas. Or, well, Colorado. That didn't work out. Because at the same time, Eli started posting ads in the newspaper for gay men. Oh. And a dude from Colorado hit him up. Yeah. And so he came up to Colorado, didn't pan out, jetted down to Texas. And they get into Texas. And he owns a company. Eli does. Doing work and stuff. Like, still Amish work, but now he's just English about it, I guess, is what they said. So, they moved to Texas. And he kills his roommate or whatever. Right after the cops go there and they're like, hey, we found this guy. Do you know what happened to him? Uh-huh. And Eli's like, oh no, dude. Dude's a big drug addict. Like, I can't help you. Uh-huh. I don't know. Him and Danny leave. Boom, they're gone. Uh-huh. Like, they left that night.
Wow.
Like,
that's
people.
Not suspicious at all.
Yeah, people who know him were like, damn.
Could have said bye.
Yeah, like, you could have said bye. So, anyway, I don't think I have in here where they found him. Maybe I do. So, Eli, and I gotta point this out too, because Eli did some shady ass shit. So, he wrote a letter saying Danny died in Wyoming to his friends and everything else, and that was 6 months before he died. Like, he was already, like, pre-setting Danny to die. And he told his family that Danny died in a car crash in Utah and was buried in Utah. And he was just like, sorry for your bad luck. He's in Utah. And it's like, well, when, like, they went to Utah, but it was more of a passing through Utah. They didn't stay in Utah very long. Because in Utah, he was still getting pressured to go back to Ohio. Yeah. And quit his dirty, nasty ways. And move on. Rejoin. So, then they go to Colorado. Well, Danny died. So then he goes to Colorado. there are 2 suspicious deaths that happen in Colorado that have never been pinned to him because Eli kills himself. And, yeah, sorry. Oops, that's super sad. Yeah. Let's have a moment of silence. Anywho.
For Eli.
Yeah, anywhoozers.
Huh.
Because he had to go back to Nebraska to face charges for, let's see, I have it written down here. Unlawful disposal of a dead body. These are misdemeanor charges. And he pled guilty on January 11th of 1988 to 2 misdemeanor charges of unlawful disposal of a dead body and concealing the death of Danny in Nebraska. Okay? So he does that time. While in that time, they link him to the Texas thing.
Oh.
So on July 31st in 1989 in Texas, he was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 40 years. But he got out in March of 2002 and lived in Fort Worth, Texas, where he committed suicide.
Mm.
Where he was still, you know, being him and not giving a shit about anything.
He never gave a crap about anybody but himself.
Yeah, and he had AIDS. He was HIV positive.
Oh.
And when you look up his Murderpedia, jeez. Which, by the way, they go off of donations. Really sweet people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a good website. It's what I use a lot for a lot of this. Anyway, but he's listed as a parent side, like a person who kills children. A gay Amish man. HIV positive. And robbery. And he has a total of 5 victims, even though he's never been charged by law to them.
But they have evidence that puts him as prime suspect, so he was never charged or investigated.
He died. They knew it was him, they just couldn't charge him in the court of law because he killed himself. So that was just the way that was. But he killed it. Like I said, Ida was 26. Glen Albert Pritchett was 24, and that, I believe, was a roommate. Danny M. Taylor was 36, and Dennis Steer was 24. Wow. And he shot them, and his crimes were in Ohio, Texas, Nebraska, Utah. And he committed suicide January 31st of 2007, which happens to be my sweet little baby's birthday.
So he went ahead and just did whatever he wanted to do and hurt all these people. And so where's the justice in this? Where's the closure?
There's not for anyone. And like his cousin who had left the Amish life and went American, he saw Danny before Danny died. And they made a trip to where his cousin was, and he still says that he still lives with the regret that he didn't take him and keep him there.
Yeah, but how would he have known? How would anyone
know what's going to happen?
Well, you probably shouldn't go with your parents right now.
There's pictures of him and Eli taken right before he died, like a day or two before he died. I was like, you would never, like, you look at this picture and you're like, wow.
He looks normal.
Yeah, but then you see the pictures after Dan, because there's a bunch of pictures of this dude, because like I said, he was running ads in like anything and everything back old day that you could do. And he was always like, he was into weird shit. Like, he wanted to like help with like farming and sheeping and like, I'm not gonna fucking say like suggest anything, but I'll just put that out there. But he was into like all that shit. And when he got out of prison, he made his living doing leather work.
Uh-huh.
And that was like one of the main skills he had learned while he was in prison.
Uh-huh.
And he made fantastic Bible covers.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah. And so when he dies, right? So Texas, Fort Worth, I think it is,
Mm-hmm.
is where he
Dallas.
Yeah, Fort Worth is where he made his home after he got out of prison. And he was on like semi-supervised parole. So, I mean, and he didn't really have a prison record either.
Really?
Yeah, there wasn't much. But like you can see when he changes and goes, like you can tell that like he has like no chains in life. You know what I mean? He's a free bird.
Mm-hmm.
He's flying around. He's free as hell. His pictures change because now he's in like short shorts. We're topless. Like we're super cute.
Get nipple piercing.
Yeah, like we're super cute and like adorable and I don't even know. Just special beyond all belief.
He's special.
So, yeah, and like I said, when he dies, Texas gets a hold of Ohio and they're like, hey, guys, check it out. We have Eli. Dude died. Killed himself. Y'all need to come get him.
Uh-huh.
The Amish family in Ohio was straight up like, Eli, who? Like, I don't know. Like, Grandma Ann, you know an Eli? No, you don't. Like, no one in that family was
nope.
like, yeah. So, Eli, I guess, I'm not sure. This article was a couple years old. It wasn't too old, but it was like 3 or 4 years old, I think. As far as they knew then, Eli was still chilling at the morgue. Like, not claimed. He was unclaimed.
Really?
I mean, hopefully they've gotten rid of him since then. Just taking up freezer space.
I
But
thought in cases like that, I mean, I know this sounds terrible, but they donate it to the university or...
why
for
is that
research
terrible?
and stuff.
Ooh, tell me why you think that's terrible.
Huh? Well, just because it sounds awful unless it's a volunteer thing and you really understand and respect what they're doing. But like with unclaimed or homeless or
Would you do it? Like, what does your driver's license say? Are you a donor?
I am an organ donor.
Are you?
Yeah.
So, when I first got a license or an ID card, hold on, I need a drink.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I first got one,
Uh-huh.
I was like, yeah, mark that shit. I'll be a donor.
Did you understand what you were doing?
Kind of, sort of.
Uh-huh.
And then I was chilling one day and I was watching an order. I think it was like, episode of ER.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like talking about this little girl was dying and they're like trying to get her parents to consent to the organ donations or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they like cut to the operating room and they're just like straight divvying this little girl up. They're like, here, you take this, you take this. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, no, no, that is mine.
If it's useful and viable, I mean, I
really don't think mine would be, you know what I mean? I've never lived a clean and cut life. Smoked many a cigarettes.
Well, I mean, they can do a lot of stuff now. There's
my eyes are shit. My eyes are shit. So everyone says I have no heart. I know there's one in there, but they say it's not a normal one. So I'm sure they don't want that. My brain, definitely for science.
Yeah.
Cocky. But no, like, I don't know.
I don't know. That's how they're just figuring stuff out. I mean, and if it's something that people want to do, that they can volunteer and do it. I don't know. I haven't really written down my last wishes, stuff like that.
Really?
I don't think I'm that old yet, but who knows? Probably should, because sometimes, stuff happens. But
yeah.
I think that's funny how his whole community was like, because obviously there's paperwork, sold the farm, there's deeds and nonsense with his name. They knew who he was.
Well, and his family was Amish. His dad was a bishop.
Uh-huh.
So
So the wife told his dad? that he was gay?
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry.
See, and that's what I don't understand.
I done ruined that. Sorry.
Booted that right then and there.
Yeah, because his daddy's the bishop. And it was kind of just like, you know Eli, rasky little son of a gun. And really, I mean, I don't believe it didn't say, but the dude that they showed him wrestling around in the hay with looked pretty fucking Amish himself.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure they were like, hey, we're not going to open up this can of worms and start booting dudes out for being gay, because then we're going to lose, like, a bunch of y'all. So just get back there, start pounding out babies, and do your business on your side and shut up. Like, be secretive, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It wasn't like... But she told her whole family. Like, she was pissed.
Well, yeah. And pregnant. And if
she wasn't... Yeah, she was pregnant after that. But, like...
Oh, so he got her pregnant after she found out he was gay?
She had hints that he was leading a different way.
Yeah.
Because she had started complaining to her parents that he wasn't digging the Amish stuff anymore. Like, he was starting to bitch, like, to go out to do his chores. You know what I mean? And Amish women, they truly, man, they be bad. Them bitches do everything. Like, legit everything. So I see why she runs into this fire.
Yeah. To save the milk. I don't know.
But I gotta tell you why they think he might have killed her. Because now we can just talk. Because that's the end of the case of Little Boy Blue, unfortunately. Is that he is where he needs to be in Nebraska, where people love him and adore him. And now there's just answers to his story. Yeah. The town didn't care nonetheless. They still have him. They still leave toys and stuff at his grave.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, the cop said that when they go out there, there's still like people leave money and toys and all sorts of cuteness out there and decorate his grave and stuff. So like the town still worships and loves. And this is one of their stories that they like to tell people to show that they are a community. Yeah. Like what in a their full community is. Yeah, because this little boy was a stranger. Yeah. And now he's everyone's kid in Nebraska. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's super sweet. The whole town was just so precious. Like, they really did talk about him like it was one of their own. Yeah. So it was super sad. But yeah, Ida...
So how was he connected? What did he do?
Okay, so when they pull her... When they get her body is burnt on the sides. Like, she's not burnt like she would have been burnt if she would have been in there when the fire happened. Like he claims. Like it was on her sides. It wasn't on her back. Like it was like she laid down and died. Yeah. But when they look a little closer, the drag marks that he claims that she got were from him dragging her out of this blaze and trying to save her. Yeah. She was beat the fuck up.
Oh, so they weren't really drag marks.
He drug her on her face on purpose. Because he grabbed her by her feet and drugged her. And dragged her out by her feet. Which, at the time, they didn't think that was weird. Because they were like, well, shit, the building's on fire. So, yeah, you just grabbed and went. But when he pulls them out, other people are already seeing the fire.
Well, yeah, they're watching.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little Amish community, so they're like, oh shit, the Stutzman's farm's ablazing. Like, they don't need to sound like that. Like, who knows? Can't do Amish. I don't fucking know.
Well, everybody's gonna go and get their backs. Our community did that with farmers recently. Yeah.
Yeah. But so it's just they came together and tried to help him, and he was pulling her out when people were coming. So he was kind of taken off guard. They think he went down dying, being like, "Nah, dude, that was her business. She died trying to save the milk."
Well, because probably Amish don't approve of
murder.
Oh, what? Not. That's one of the top 5.
Divorce.
No,
and that wasn't an option.
Of autopsies. I don't believe.
Yeah, no, you can't harm the body. You can't do anything to like the body. This is what they gathered from looking at
forensic photos.
Yeah, and dude, it's so sad.
Did they report her death?
Dude, they had to dig her up 2 separate times.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And the bishop was like, they were like, dude, I don't want to, like, that's not our way. And the
Yeah.
cops were like, check it out, bro. Like, we can do this, and I will honor and respect, and we will bury her again. We will give her the same ceremony, whatever. But, like, we need to get this information. And she's the only one that has it. And that's how they found out. And then, but over time, it was like, you know, you could tell different things as science progressed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it got linked back to him, but they couldn't do anything about it because her death is still ruled as smoke inhalation or something like that, I think.
Smoke inhalation.
Yeah, and same with Danny's. His is natural causes because there was no proof whatsoever that he killed Danny. He says Danny had the flu.
Oh.
Is what they say. They say
kids die from the flu.
He says that Danny was sick when they left Wyoming and headed to Ohio. The people in Ohio were like, if he was sick, I'm pretty sure I'd know because I just had your kid for 6 fucking months.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of notice stuff about him.
Like, and he wasn't sick. And even in the picture, he does not look like he's sick. I'm not going to say he wasn't sick because I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he was.
Yeah.
I doubt it. But I really think he smothered him and just put him on the side of the road.
Did they ever do, like, an autopsy on this boy when they found him?
They never said what they did to him, except for the fact that the town loved and respected him.
Yeah.
And, like, let him be. Because there was nothing to really show.
I just wonder what, because if he was found on the side of the road, obviously the coroner maybe...
Oh, no, dude, his case was so cold and everything else by the time that the relatives and everybody else read the Reader's Digest, that it was... You don't need to bother him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's been long enough.
Yeah.
And his dad said, he's like, hey, dude was sick, and, like, I know where I left him. Like, and I left him there for God to find him.
My God, I can't get over it.
And, like, he did not want him to grow up Amish, because he blamed the Amish for him not being able to be him and live his true life. And he was like, I'm not going to do that to you. You're going to do whatever you want to do.
But why go and get him again? So Danny was killed shortly after he left Wyoming. Mm-hmm. What was the whole point? Leave him there then. Deuces. Yeah. Go to France. Right? I don't care. You know?
I mean, he could have.
And then
he says he doesn't know why. He says he doesn't know why. Like, when they asked him, he was just like, I could have, but, like, I didn't. And he claims that, like, Danny was never supposed to die. According to him.
Well, back in the 80s, they still had, I mean, it wasn't urgent cares, but they still had those
he said
clinics
he pulled
on
over
the side of the fucking road that you can take him to. Because what do you do when your kid is coughing and has the green boogers and
yeah, but he wasn't raised that way. Eli wasn't raised that way. Amish don't do that. They're like, we'll pray about it. You'll get better.
But I thought he didn't want to live the Amish life. That's
but
why
it's all he
bounced.
knew. Like, he wasn't like...
He knows what a doctor is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, this is what he says.
To get fucking...
Find out he had AIDS.
Yeah.
Well, he found out in prison. But... Yeah. He found out all that fun jazz out when he went to prison.
Yeah, maybe that was his first blood draw.
For Danny. Because for Danny, he only got 14 months. Mm-hmm. 14 months. I mean, 14 years. Sorry, 14 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. That was my bad. But you're like, yeah, so... I think he killed her. I think he killed Danny. I don't think... He claims when he pulled over on the side of the road to render him aid and like check on him, it was in Ohio. And he was like, oh shit, you're dead.
Yeah.
And he wraps him up in a blanket, folds his little hands, and puts him on the side of the road in a canal where God can find him in an open field.
I want to punch that man in the face.
I always think back to the poor people who find these people. I mean, no doubt, dude, whenever I go anywhere, I'm like, where's that dead body? Where is it? I'll find it. Where is it?
But do you really? Are you? Really
But I don't want to find it. You know what I mean? Like, I always think about those poor people, and I'm like, how much counseling?
Yeah.
Like, and I would love to find a counselor that I actually liked, to be honest, to deal with like all my anxiety and my craziness. But every time I've ever found one, they're just
meh,
not my vibe. You know what I mean? But I'm sure for something like that, like, I don't give a shit who I'm talking to. Like, as long as someone's trying to help me get that out of my head.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, how horrible. I don't know. It's just sad. And it's sad that this town had to claim him. And he was only 10 months old when Ida died.
The baby?
Danny.
10 years old. Okay, I didn't realize that.
No, he was 10 months old when she died. And they say that he killed her because he didn't want her to have the other baby. Because he was like, damn, I didn't want this kid. I definitely don't want that kid.
Huh.
And I don't want you anymore because now you know I'd be gay.
I don't know if he's just cold enough to do that. He should have just left the baby in the house and bounced. And gone on your merry little life. Somebody would have found dude. That's the end of it. Especially back then, it was easy because it's not like today where you have constant contact and everybody has a phone in their back pocket.
Right.
You know, communication was a little more difficult. You had to actually try.
I kind of miss those days.
I do too. Isn't it nice, like, the days that you didn't have to worry about, if somebody really wanted to get a hold of you, they best leave a message.
Right.
Because you're not going to get it until you get home at night, whenever that is.
Good old recording, like answering machines.
Yeah, because you might have to go to the store after work. Not you, but...
Shut the fuck up. Since I live in a damn store. And, like, I hope people know that, like, we record this when I get off of work. And I work super fucking early. So, and I put a lot of effort into my research. And I know it doesn't seem like it because I, like, stutter over my words and everything. But I do. I fucking try, bitches. I try. I really do. But... yeah, that's the story of Little Boy Blue. I like to call it Little Boy Blue's story versus it being Eli's story.
Yeah, he doesn't need any more attention. Yeah. Yeah, because that boy had to watch his dad in all sorts of craziness, or I guess if he was raised with it, he probably thought it was normal behavior. Moving all over the place,
Yeah, I don't...
staying with strangers for 6 months. And
in the ID show, it's kind of weird, because, like, I can't even really say that he was 10 months old, to be honest, because I read in different places that he was different ages when Ida died. But, like, in the ID special, they make Danny look like he's very uncomfortable with this way of life. Like, when they're in Ohio, it shows... a different, like, it just looks like he's, like, a very sad, uncomfortable little boy. And, like, they have Eli, like, tussling around with guys while this little kid's in the room. And so it's, like, really uncomfortable and weird.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. And Eric asked me, he's like, why do you pick the things that you pick? And it's because I watch or I read or I hear something that I'm like...
I want to know more.
I can't get it out of my head. Like, I can't.
I've seen a few
until I tell somebody about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once I tell that person's story to someone else that I even think gives two shits about it, I'm like, oh, okay. Right. Let's find the next one.
Yeah.
I just I gotta tell somebody. Like, I cannot get it out of my head. Because, like, I play out all the different scenarios in my head of, like, what he could have done to not do what he did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, cool. If you had to kill roommate, whatever, not your boy. You know what I mean? Like, he's a baby. But he loved his dog. And that's one thing that was said about him, is that when he got out of prison, he got a dog. And he loved that dog. So at the end of his days, all he had was a dog. And then that dog went to someone else and didn't give a shit. And his body is just chilling in a morgue while Danny's being worshipped in Nebraska, where he truly is loved.
Oh, good.
Probably for the first time. So, like, it's just super sad. Like, I thought in my head, one of my thoughts about it was, why don't they put him where Ida is? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I see how, like, with no family coming forward, that's very expensive. And this is a very cute, small, little town in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Like, very, very cute. Hold on 1 second. Let me just see if I can find... Where the fuck in Nebraska? Probably can't, though. I write a lot down, and I always think that, like, I break it up enough to where I can, like, read it. But I don't. But yeah,
There's a lot. Have you ever been to Nebraska? There's a lot of cute little...
Oh, Chester.
Chester?
Chester, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Bam, I did write it down. So it's just a cute, itty-bitty, sweet little town.
Mm.
So they don't have... I'm pretty sure they don't have the funds for that. But it's just super sad.
Oh.
All the way around. So that's Little Blue's story. And everybody will be happy to know. Everybody who knew that I was doing this is like, oh God, she's going to cry. Jean's going to cry. So I'm very proud of you.
Well, thank you.
For not being too sad about it.
You surprised me.
Oh.
I think I get angry more than anything because it's senseless. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You took a lot of effort to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, and he traveled many, many miles to just kill him and go the opposite way.
And it was the 80s. All you gotta do is have a note and a backpack and give him a little pudding cup and leave him at the door and run and that's it.
That's
it. You don't have a damn cell phone to be tracked down and,
Yeah.
GPS'd and...
I mean, you could have.
But he went to all that trouble to murder everybody. Maybe he was holding out because he wanted the money for the farm so he could travel.
Maybe. And I know I didn't touch base on the other victims, but really it was Danny's story.
That's understandable. It was
that
still
got me.
Not necessary.
And they really don't show or say much. In the court documents, they talk about the other three a lot. But in the show, they really didn't. Yeah. He is the first, quote-unquote, Amish serial killer, though, that they say.
Did they explain why these other men were murdered? Or?
For sex, is what they claim. It was like a coked-out gay sex thing gone wrong. And same with the roommate, worker, I guess. They developed a relationship, and so...
That's never good.
Yeah.
No.
And he was found shot in a canal, and the other two were just shot. They were inside buildings, I believe. So, and he killed one of them on November 8th, which is my sibling twins' birthdays, but it's super sad. And those people's lives are sad, and so that's why I did list them at the end, but it was just more about Danny, because that's just so sad.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's the story for this week, and I hope you guys liked it. So you guys can follow us on Twitter, because Eric figured it out.
Oh, good job. Thank you.
He is a fucking genius. And he knows how to work it. So God bless him. So yeah, that's at It Is What It Is 208. And then Instagram at It Is What It Is Pod 19. Facebook at It Is What It Is. And by the way, our Facebook following is adorable and I love them all. But I want to connect with everybody who listens more. So seriously, guys, if there's anything that you guys want to hear,
let us know.
Let us know. If you guys have hateful shit to say, keep it to yourselves. But it's a cute thought. Check us out on almost every platform. You can follow us even on YouTube at It Is What It Is. And yeah, join Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Shit, give me everything. Yeah. Give me all of your nonsense. I want it all. And then
Are you sure?
I do.
Okay.
I really do. I love it. And then It Is What It Is pod19@gmail.com. If you don't want to be mean in front of everyone, you can do it privately and it'll be fine.
She might read it out loud.
Oh, I will put you on blast for sure for hate mail. So just be warned. All right, guys. Keep it classy and don't go killing people.
Thanks.
See ya.